Let's do it. Game 3 between Liquid TLO and White-Ra coming up next.
Link engaged.
All right, well, Wolf, now that we're split 1-1, why don't you go ahead and do our starting positions?
All right, at the right position, we have Team Liquid's own The Little One, something people may not even know his initials, or the TLO stands for The Little One because hardly anyone calls him that anymore, but The Little One is playing the right position as Terran this time, and so on Scrap Station, Terran against Protoss is going to be an interesting situation for White-Ra. He's not going to know what he's up against right off the bat, and this is definitely a pretty tough map to be on when you don't know what's going on. And of course, White-Ra is playing the left position as Protoss, one of the best Protosses from Europe and in the world as well. And we are tied 1-1. This series is so intense. I just don't even know what's going to happen. Of course, White-Ra is putting his pylon in such a position now that he can wall off if he wants to, because he doesn't know again whether or not his opponent is Zerg, so it's really safe for him to do that. And we'll have to wait and see if he puts that first gateway there, because that will become really important if TLO tries to go for any early pressure.
Yeah, and also I was wondering if maybe we'd see an earlier scout from White-Ra. He is going to go ahead and scout off of the gateway that just got put down there. Meanwhile, we've got the racks in the supply depot at the front of TLO's base spawning as the Terran. You know what else is kind of funny about TLO? Is that literally he is playing in the finals of the Liquid TL Open, which also happens to be initial TLO. So, yeah, people might say, oh, he named himself after the tournament. But no, that's not the case at all. It's just a crazy, crazy StarCraft coincidence right there. So, gateway about halfway done. Here comes the scouting probe of White-Ra, and he's like, what is it going to be? Oh, it's a Terran! As he sees the racks being built here, he's going to try to do some SCV harass, but it won't matter because that racks is done. And you know what? When you're playing against a random opponent, Wolf, it's also a little bit difficult on Scrap Station because you have such a long route to actually scout your opponent.
Definitely, definitely. And that's why he decided to put that gateway there, kind of towards the ramp, in case he, he might want to wall against a Zerg opponent. And the problem with that is if TLO tries to pressure early, do one of those really fast Marauder bunker pushes, of course he's not, but had he wanted to do that, that gateway would have been very vulnerable, could have been picked off quite easily. That's why you don't want to wall off normally in Protoss versus Terran, but White-Ra, realizing that was kind of a weakness that ended up being the case for him last game, decided to wall off, play it safe. Because on this map, if TLO had spawned Zerg in 6 pooled or something like that, it would have been almost impossible for him to deal with that. But anyways, as it is, we see TLO is getting a factory. No second gas yet, though.
Yeah, and that's actually one thing I was thinking about, because I was just sort of saying in my head, like, you know, I wonder if that little quick drop that TLO did would be something that's on his menu for today. And of course, that would also make a big difference on what we see White-Ra make next. He's also on 1 gas as Warp Gate research is underway. With a starport is now being done, and there we do have the quick robo going down. So that could, you know, mean a lot of different things here for White-Ra, but most importantly, if we were to see anything kind of goofy, if you want to say that, out of TLO, where maybe he was going to go for Cloak Banshee or something, it's going to be a nice little situation for White-Ra. He'll be set up for it. Probably, you know, get that Observer out first, but we've also seen him go for the Warp Gate first too, and did that SCV making his way up the ramp. Yes, he did see that Robo Bay, or the Robo facility being made. So with the second gateway down, it might be TLO with the increased amount of information to look at that. He's rallying over next to that starport. So, Wolf, I think we're going to see the exact same drop that we saw him do versus Moonin here on this map.
Oh, absolutely. And the funny thing is, Duckload.White-Ra, or White-Ra rather, is going for a Warp Prism instead of an Immortal. Doesn't have his second and third gateway up yet. And TLO is just going to absolutely crush him right now with this push. He is not going to have an answer for this at all. And TLO actually going to send his Hellions around instead of dropping them, bringing in SCV with the drop. Maybe that was a misclick, I'm not sure. But White-Ra does have his units positioned in a good spot, though, so that's going to be helpful. But when these Hellions get there, he's going to want to move his units back to a different area. And he's actually probably going to spot this Warp Prism. Or maybe not. The Warp Prism actually just going to grab one Zelt, which will be kind of huge. And here come the Hellions into the main. White-Ra tried to block them off, but wasn't able to. The Hellions coming over here killing a lot of probes, and now is his chance to drop these Marines out, and the Zealot's taking a lot of damage from the Hellions. and White-Ra is in a lot of trouble. 2 Marines do go down, but with these Marines, with the medevac killing them, the Stalkers just can't kill them fast enough while defending the probes, so a lot of probes are going down. It looks like White-Ra might clean this up, but at what cost is losing so many probes here? Hellions actually attacking a Stalker. That's not the best control I've ever seen. In the meantime, there is a Zealot in the main of TLO's base, was not controlled though, walked right into a bunker and met his demise without killing anything.
I can't even believe the control I'm seeing out of TLO. He picks up the 3 Marines and drops them right next to a Stalker who is about to die. Looking at the Harvesters, it's 27-17 now in favor of TLO, and that was a crazy effective drop. Now, meanwhile, we do have a Zealot in the base of TLO, but you could see that it really did not do a lot of damage. And, you know, I had mentioned on the last time that we saw TLO on Scrap Station that I felt like he might want to send those Hellions to the front to sort of act as a distraction, and that's exactly what he did in this one, allowing them to have extra Marines in that medevac, and that was a pretty ridiculous little drop. I think he actually could have done more.
TLO actually dropping right now in White-Ra's base, though, with a few Zealots and some Stalkers. Going to start warping in some units as well with that Warp Prism in phase mode. Guardian Shield up going to help keep that Prism alive, and TLO actually starting to lose a lot of SCVs here. In fact, losing a lot more than White-Ra had, and White-Ra just continuing to rally units, and we might see a little turnaround here.
Oh, this is a big turnaround, Wolf. I cannot even believe it. He's got a couple Marines here trying to do his best against these final Zealots. Unfortunately, the Hellion is long gone. Great job going back into the bunker. He will take out one of those Zealots. He's probably going to pick off this other one with these 2 Marines. But again, for as much mining time as he was able to take away from White-Ra, look what TLO is having done to him right now. A supply depot burning. Still, this Warp Prism continues to just warp in units. He hasn't been able to focus it down, just now starting to apply to it. And I almost wonder if he should lift that Viking to try to take care of that, because right now there ain't anything going on in the base of TLO. In fact, let's take a look. Oh, 2 Harvesters to 17. So literally a taste of his own medicine. A Thor drop now incoming, but is it way too late?
I think it is, but that is quite interesting. They got that Thor out there. Leaves the game before we could even see what would happen. But